banter. Balls and banter. No excuses, just win, win, win with your balls and banter. We got balls, we got pucks, we got sticks, we got everything in between. We got balls and banter.
All right, folks, it's Tuesday. Hope you had an outstanding Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully you checked in on some folks who have lost their sons, their daughters, their fathers, whatever the case might be. Lots of people struggling this weekend, but it is a great weekend to celebrate, be thankful. So hopefully it was great weather here. Nate, Tom, how was your weekend?
My weekend was very good. I didn't have much sleep at all. I went to Indianapolis to watch the race down there with my old buddies from Fox 59, where I used to work, and we had a great time.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Nate, what did you do?
I was very sunny out, just watched some games. Mudhens were playing, so I kind of watched through the fence on a few different games for a few innings, but yeah, it was great.
I love it. I love it. It was beautiful here, too. I feel like Memorial Day and 4th of July weekends should be like a lock for good weather. I know we can't control that, but I feel like that should be a thing. Like if we can all just, when two or more are present, we know God's with us. Like let's all just consistently pray that that's always a lock, like always good to go, because it was awesome. My grill went out on me. It didn't go out on me. It's just we had some grill problems this weekend, so we had to make a pivot, but we still pulled it off. We still got some great eats, and man, it was a great weekend. There's so many sports to cover, so many things to talk about. Before we do, though, we're coming up on the 250 celebration for America, and the Hoover Dam, which Tom's going to be jumping into via parachute, I think in June, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be a cool scene for you, Tommy boy. He's not. People are like, he is? No, he's not. Maybe he is. I don't know. But now that we've talked about it, maybe he will. But they set up this big-ass flag there and, lighting effects, and it's really cool. Take a look. There's no audio to this. It's just some pictures and frames. We'll slap it up on the screen. But you can see it there. There it is at night, which is pretty dope.
I wonder how big that thing is.
It's not small. I know that.
I know the Hoover Dam's a pretty large place, and in the front of that, and that's no joke. It's not like a little dot. You can actually, see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's got. Who knows? I don't know what the Guinness Book of World Records is for the biggest flag. That's got to be in contention. It's massive. Well, that said, you get the big ones that cover the NFL football fields. Those things are ginormous. I don't know how it compares to that. It's hard to scale it out in your mind. Certainly, it's a massive flag to have that size of a footprint on the Hoover Dam. But I love it. I love all this stuff. Is our country divided? Yes. Are there things that are going the opposite direction? Yes. Are there some things that we've talked about a lot where it seems like we're kind of healing and we got some momentum going? Also, yes. And I love seeing this kind of stuff. I'm just, we're very pro-America around these parts, and seeing Americana-type themes like that is awesome. I think that's a sweet thing. We'll see what else kind of pops up as we get closer and closer to it. But certainly that's a pretty awesome scene there at the Hoover Dam. All right, the Knicks going back to the NBA Finals. Folks, first time in 27 years. There's listeners to this show who were not alive the last time the Knicks played in the NBA Finals. And, man, I tell you what, they did it convincingly. We got a funny quote coming up here in a little bit that we'll talk about. But Munson, Cat, the whole gang, they played great basketball. It really wasn't. They swept the Cavaliers, and most of the games really weren't that close. I'm excited for New York. It's fun to have some traditional unis, traditional team in the finals. They played great. What's your take, Nate? I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, amazing series, amazing run. Not much more you could say. They really plowed through the East.
They did.
I mean, nobody really competed with them, and maybe would have been interesting to see what Detroit would have done, but it's tough to believe they would have done any better than what the Cavs did.
Yeah.
And
the Knicks,
they're such a deep team, it's just crazy.
They are, and they just caught. I mean, this is not that they haven't been good this year, but it just seems like they really caught fire at the right time. You know, you have the opposite kind of happening with the Avalanche right now. The Knicks, obviously, we're switching leagues, and my brain's all over the place. You guys know that about me, but the Knicks, they just caught fire at the right time, and as you said, they just steamrolled through there. I think it's fun. I'm not a huge Knicks guy, but I've been cheering for the Knicks, so I've got a lot of personal conflict going on at home. I'm seeing someone about it. We're talking, but I think it's great. Tom, what was your take on this series?
I was heartbroken. I wanted Cleveland. I cannot stand the New York Knicks. I cannot stand New York City.
But you love Knickerbockers. Like, you love –
I do. I like the nostalgia of it. I don't like New York sports teams, and it has a lot to do with the fact that New York City is my least favorite city on the planet, considering I've been to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, Lagos, Nigeria, and Kabul, Afghanistan. So that should tell you my disdain for the city of New York. And when it comes to sports, it's up there. You know, is it good for basketball that New York's playing in it? Yes, it's the #1 television market. Is there a little bit of nostalgia for having the Knicks in there? Yeah, I get it. It's great for the fans, but it's also great for people like myself who cannot stand the Knicks. Now I've got a heel at WrestleMania. This is how I see it.
Yeah, well, no, hate watching's a great thing. When you've got something like, you know, for us, it's Ohio State, the Packers, some of these different teams. Like, I love hate watching almost as much as I love my own teams. It's a fun concept. I don't loathe the city like you do. I don't like New York teams, though. I agree with you on that. I have a little bit of an appreciation, I guess is the term. I'm a Twins fan, but my dad's a big Yankees fan. He always has been, so I've always been supportive of them to an extent. But I'm not a big fan of New York City sports. I do just love the restaurants and the vibe there. Is it going the wrong direction under Mom Donnie? Absolutely, and pretty much everyone before him. But yeah, I don't know. It is fun to have a heel. So needless to say, you're cheering for whoever comes out of the West, OKC or San Antonio.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's anybody but the Knicks.
Well, the Knicks, I tell you, they ran through the East, but they're going to have their hands full when they get to the finals, whichever of those two teams they play. Yeah. That should be a really good series no matter how it shakes out.
It'll be good. It'll be interesting to see what they do against Wemby, because OKC seems to be trying to body him a little bit, and New York with Cat, Mitch Robinson, they got some big guys down there who could do it. OG Anunoby, I always mess up his name, but
he does.
So
too,
that'll
yeah.
be. But I'm happy for Mike Brown too, because I feel like he's a great coach, and he's been made the scapegoat like at 2 or 3 different places he's been. When he took, I mean, look at the Kings. He took them from nothing to the playoffs. They were like the 4th or 5th seed.
Yeah,
lost to Golden State, but seemed to be on the upswing. They get rid of them, and they're rebuilding again, even though they never really built anything. So, you know, it's good for Mike Brown. I'm happy to see that, and hopefully he gets the credit he deserves.
Yeah, amen to that. Well, we got the other game tonight. That series has been great. Last time the Knicks won, though, someone put this out. I can't see the guy's name. You'll see it on the screen. Hat tip to this joker here, John Erickman, I think is something like that. But he posted the last time the Knicks were in the finals, these things didn't exist: iPhone, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, Tesla, SpaceX, Bitcoin, Gmail, Amazon Prime, Google Maps, Netflix streaming, Android, ChatGPT, WhatsApp, TikTok, Snapchat, Xbox, Pinterest, LinkedIn, iPad, Uber, Airbnb, Reddit, Spotify, Zoom. I'm sure the list goes on from there. It's crazy to think about. Forget the Knicks for a second. All those things didn't exist the last time they were in the finals. That part's true. Kudos for pointing that out there, Sir John. But think about just like how many of those, some of those things obviously very helpful, some of those things detrimental to society in their own right. Not that they were formed necessarily for that reason. But how much?
Damn you, Airbnb.
You sons of bitches. But isn't it crazy, like, how much things have shifted? Like, the world didn't have these things before. Now everyone leans on all this stuff all the time. And more so, I say that more so on the technology side of things than the Airbnb and Uber and some of that stuff. But it is crazy to see how much things have shifted. Google Maps, you know, all the different stuff. Like, we went from getting AAA maps, stopping at gas stations, dial up internet to just like everything's here, and the robots are also here, and AI is taking over. It's a crazy thing to think about how much things have shifted in the last quarter century.
Absolutely. And, anytime that there's a shift with technology or an improvement in technology, culture itself shifts. And so is as much as we've seen change with all of these companies that come out and all these products that we use, it's shocking. But the way that the advancements that we keep seeing, it just seems to be accelerating more and more and more.
Yeah. No, it does.
I could see the same. Yeah, I could see the same list, but in a 5 or 10 year increment, the way we're going with technology.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The swings are going to be harder, faster. It's going to be wild. Buttoning up the Knicks thing real quick though. I found this statement by James Harden pretty perplexing to me. I get the spirit of what he's trying to say, but they just keep in mind, again, they just got swept. They got their asses handed to them in most of the games. Last night, not close. James Harden says, quote, genuinely, I do feel we are the better team. I mean, I don't know, James. I don't know that's – you were a good team. You had a good year. Again, I get the spirit of what he's bringing up when you get outed 4-0 and get curb stomped in several of those games. Interesting remarks. Nate, what do you say to that?
I mean, you got to have that spirit. It just shows he is. If every player on that court thinks they're the best player, every single player thought they should have won probably the Eastern Conference MVP. And when you lose it, you get it. But even the 12th man on the bench has to have that mentality of no, I'm better than Jalen Brunson. Put me in there, I'll take him on. And despite being blown out for 4 games, James still has that spirit of nah, we're better. Trust me, if we did 9, we'd win the next 5.
Right. No, I agree. I do like that spirit. By the way, the Taliban called. They want James Harden's beard back. That is a epic beard that he's got there. And I mean that in a serious way. I'm a beard lover. I don't want to sleep with James Harden, but I do appreciate his beard. No, I agree.
Yeah.
You like that spirit.
Yeah, and I agree with Nate. I like that spirit too. But when it comes to James Harden, it's just there comes a point where it's got to be, hey man, it's not you, it's me. And I kind of feel like there has to be that realization pretty soon for him.
You'd think, but it's James Harden, so I don't know. What is on your shirt, by the way, Tom? What's going on with this pattern?
Let's see if I can back up a little bit. There's a woman on those, fabric things going into an alligator's mouth. Of
course.
And then, a monkey with a rocket ship in his butt, pounding on cymbals.
So where do you find a shirt like this?
My wardrobe is carefully curated.
That it is. That it is.
Well, what you call it, truck stops and resale places, just wherever most people don't go, I like to go.
Sounds about right. Well, Carolina won in overtime again last night. Another great game. Crowd was awesome in Montreal. Did you notice, by the way, Nate, did you watch that game?
I caught the end of overtime. I caught most of overtime, and that was it.
Hockey fans are obviously, we talk about this all the time. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here and belabor this point, but hockey fans are awesome. They're dialed in. They're super passionate. It's one of the best fan bases in all of sports, as we've addressed. But I'm telling you, last night, I'm sitting there watching Out Back with my wife and my father-in-law, and there was a spattering. There was a few people. But I'm talking a few people who weren't wearing either a red or white Montreal jersey. Those people are so dialed in. Everyone is wearing $200 sweaters in the freaking arena. It's man, this is impressive. Yeah. To the point where it's Doug, why are you wearing a T-shirt, you dumb son of a bitch? You cheap bastard. It was a great scene. And Montreal is undefeated when they go to OT throughout the playoffs. I think every one of them has been a 3-2 win. Last night, 3-2. They pulled it off. But it's a great series. This is a really good series. Was a fun game. Good energy. And Montreal also had I think it was the right call, but they had a goal called back in the third period. Guy was offsides. Carolina challenged it. They won. won the challenge, ended up being back to 2-2, and then Carolina gets the win in overtime. But Eastern Conference Finals, great series, very different than the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA.
Yeah. Complete opposite there.
Yeah. The Knights can close out the Avalanche tonight in Game 4, which is totally shocking. Not shocking that the Knights are good. The Knights are good, but the Avalanche are so good. And the Avalanche, and McKinnon gets hurt in the last game. I think he's going to be able to play, but like he goes out in the second period for a while. I mean, who had on the bingo card that the Avalanche get to the Western Conference Finals and go down 3-0 in the series to someone other than potentially the Stars or the Wild, anyone for that matter, but certainly the top other seeds in that conference? It's been crazy to see. Vegas is just playing out of their mind, and we'll see what happens tonight. It's going to be hard no matter what for the Avalanche to overcome this. Overcoming being down 3-0 is difficult. It's been done, I think, 4 times in the history of the playoffs. But anything is possible, not likely. You got to get a win tonight, though, if you're Colorado, obviously, or you're just freaking – you're done, you're doomed.
Yeah, I'm taking Vegas. I think they're going to sweep them out. I mean, it's just so soul-crushing to be down that much, and you got your star player hurt. And, that's what I was going to say a second ago when you were talking about the opposite of the Eastern Conference Finals was this is kind of like the version of that. I feel like Vegas kind of caught heat in the Anaheim series, and now they've just rolled over Anaheim. That's, what are they going to do? It just doesn't seem like there's anything they can do, just like Cleveland heading into Game 4. So
right. Yeah. No, I mean, the Knicks in the NBA, the Vegas Knights in the NHL, the two teams who caught fire, no two ways about it. It's wild to see. Well, it'll be fun. Switching back real quick, who do you have tonight in the NBA game, Spurs OKC?
I got Spurs. Sweeping them out the rest of the series because AJ Mitchell's going to be out. Jalen Williams, I don't think he's going to play. So I think Spurs kind of found their formula. They really ironed it in without those guys last game, and they're just going to keep on going.
They looked so good the other night. Yeah.
So, even though they went down 2-1, I think they're going to sweep it out without AJ Mitchell. Thunder are deep, but the Spurs are playing out of their mind, and I don't know what OKC could do different than they did last game after those guys went out. And, Spurs just handled them the whole game. Tom, I'll ask you first. Those are the two main sports spectaculars tonight. Those are the two main things on television. Obviously, you'll have some MLB games on. You'll have some women's ping pong from Japan, some other weird shit that's out there. Badminton.
What badminton? What's your main channel and what's your go-to on commercial channel? Or are you going to a sports bar where you can have both at the same time?
I'm probably going to start off with the I think my main channel is going to be the Golden Knights game. But then I'm probably going to lock more into the Spurs game because I'm with Nate. I think that the Golden Knights are going to sweep them. So I'm going to be concentrating more on the Spurs game.
Okay. Nate, I think I know your answer, but.
Yeah, I'll be more glued into the Spurs game just to see if that really comes to fruition. It seems like there's a lot more shifting. Whereas Vegas, it's just kind of the sweep game. If they miss it, well, there's always the next one.
You know what's great about this setup, and we've added different characters in and work. Nate's worked in now and all this, but this was not intentional. Is we just like Nate and wanted to work Nate in, but Nate's such an NBA guy, and it's a gap for us. We can speak to the 80% mark. You just can speak to it so much more. So it's great that we got our NBA guy.
Thanks. I'm glad I finally fit in somewhere.
Oh, you damn sure do. That's for darn sure. Okay, pivoting to football. We've talked about this a lot, but let's talk about it again. SEC meeting, just as a backdrop, SEC meetings are happening in Destin, Florida. Rough spot to have meetings in the summer. So they're having that there. All the athletic directors, Greg Sankey, the commissioner, there, and it turns out this is actually interesting. You've had the Big Ten and the SEC battling. Obviously, those are the two big voices at the table as it pertains to anything related to college football, but certainly the college football playoff expansion. The Big Ten and many of the teams and the commissioner have pushed for 24. You've had the ACC and the Big 12 kind of come in behind them, follow suit, and say, yeah, we want that, as we've talked about. Obviously, that makes sense if you're those two conferences, because that gives you a chance to get one or two teams in there, maybe more on certain years, but it gives you more of a shot than if it's 12, 14, 16. But what's interesting is a majority, according to this, On3 and several others reported this, ESPN reported, a bunch of people have talked about this, a majority of the athletic directors within the SEC now prefer a larger, more expanded college football playoff. I thought the SEC was in more lockstep on this front with Commissioner Greg Sankey. They're not. You can see the news headline here that states as much. So Greg's there. They've got these meetings, and there's a bunch of ADs saying, yeah, we actually want the 24-team playoff format. None of this will be decided up until, it could be decided before, but up until December 1st, sometime between now and then, is when it has to be decided if it's going to change in the nearer term. But I think this is interesting, and I guess it makes sense too. Like if you're Vandy, who was on the outside looking in last year, you know, you're Tennessee on a normal year. You're some of these teams who have been right there, but not quite in it. Obviously, Tennessee was in there a couple years ago, but Vandy just missed out last year. You've got several of those teams. You know, if you're Eli Drinkwitz and you're Missouri, I don't know his exact take, but you know, if you're Missouri's athletic director, you're like, well, I really would like to be in this, even if we're in the 18 seed. So I can see how some of these athletic directors are pursuing this and taking this approach to the conversation. I still am an anti-24 guy. I think that we're going to eventually get 24, whether any of us want it or not. Greg Sankey talked to reporters there in Destin and said, look, not too worried right now about the fact that some athletic directors and coaches want 24, that some don't. We got time. We'll sort this out. But you do, I mean, you do have to kind of wonder with if Greg's on an island, the SEC's on an island, and they're really not on an island anymore because you've got division on the island. It's becoming Lord of the Flies, like who holds the conch, right? And now you've got these other conferences breathing down your neck. And Greg's right. We've talked about his concerns are, what's that do to the regular season? What's that do to conference championships? What's that do to TV and licensing deals, which he probably cares more about than the other two, but he cares about all of them. It's interesting to me that the SEC is not a little bit closer aligned on this, and it shows some vulnerabilities as these conversations happen throughout the rest of the year. I'm dying to see where this goes. Again, I'd prefer that it stay at 12 or go to 16 max, but I don't think there's a world where it doesn't expand beyond 16. Even if it's not the next step, it might be 5 years from now. I think it's coming. Tom, what do you think?
I think so too, and I can understand like your Tennessees and your Vanderbilts about, you know, expanding it, because if you're having a down season, you still have a chance to make the playoffs, because just with the power of the SEC, if you're just an average team, and I think it's part about hedging your bets, because it also too, nobody wants to miss out on any money, so. It does take away from the conference championship a little. I mean, my problem with the 24 is going back to what we've talked about in the past. I feel like it just negates the regular season, and that part of it I don't like.
The biggest argument I have heard, which I think, Nate, you brought up last time, but other people have brought up similar variations. I think you can make any format work. There's a difference between should and could, though, and I don't think you should. I think you could make it work. But it comes down to, obviously, I live in Big Ten. I live in all of college football world. Like, that's like I lay around in fluffy college football pillows and just laugh and giggle like a little schoolgirl. That's my thing. Like, nothing makes me happier in college football. But I think of our biggest rival, and the biggest rival arguably in all of college sports, if not sports, the game, Michigan, Ohio State. And the argument that's been made of, like, you could have people sitting out that game. And I don't think that it would necessarily go that far, because the passion and hatred there is, I mean, literally, Columbus blocks out M's on street signs, and we do our thing. Like, everyone, like, there's so much hate there and vitriol. But when you look at a concept and the possibility that coaches could be like, yeah, we're going to sit our starters in the game, so we're fresh for the first round of the playoffs. And there's no conference championship. I'm more okay losing conference championships. I'd like to keep it. I'm more okay losing that. I'm very much not okay with the concept of rivalry games, Thanksgiving weekend being inconsequential to what happens moving forward.
Yeah, like bowl games.
Yeah, exactly.
You bring up a good point, and that's absolutely one of my biggest fears is when you get later into the season, teams who have their rivalry games coming up treat it like bowl games so they can have everybody, their starters, rested for the playoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's coming. One thing I've read is the main holdup is the conference championship games make so much money that to only do a 16-game playoff, it's not really worth it for the SEC and Big Ten. Well, actually for the Power Four conferences, because they lose so much money and there's only 4 games gained and it might not be their teams or whatever. And that's why everyone's kind of pushing for 24. However, the SEC has a contract with the Mercedes-Benz Dome. I'm not sure if you said this, Drew, but they're contracted through 2031 to do the conference championship game there. So that might be a little bit why Sankey's dragging his feet. That's because he's got this huge contract he's got to fulfill.
Right.
But the same thing's kind of happening in the Big Ten. The commissioner was kind of against expanding, and now he's like 24 or bust. And that's the main motivator is it's just like not enough incentive at 16 to kill the conference championship game, but 24 would be.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's coming down the road, even if it's not till 2031 where all the Power Fours have to throw in, give the Mercedes-Benz Dome the money that they're bailing on or something. I don't know, but it's coming.
It absolutely is coming.
No more Michigan-Ohio State game.
Save that and save the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
The Duke's, yeah.
Maybe that can become the Duke's Mayo Bowl with the 2-1.
Here's the thing. There are some bowl games that I think are worth preserving. Bowl games have gone by the wayside over the years for sure. The ones that are not involved in the college football playoff. But there are some ones that are pretty legendary and they do it right. Like the Pop-Tarts Bowl does it right. Is it the most important game? No. But do they do it well? Yes. There's several of the games that do it well. I've always been a proponent of this, because back in the day we're not doing a playoff. Yeah, we should do a playoff. Well, we can't do a playoff because there's too much money tied to bowl games. And then it became, well, no one's going to the bowl games anymore. I'll still never forget seeing Michigan and Alabama playing in a bowl game and a lot of the top deck, the upper deck being empty. It's like, this is insane. You have 2 blue bloods playing each other. It should be sold out. But you could work those other bowl games into. I'm contradicting myself within my same statement here because I'm a big proponent of more home games, more on-campus games for the playoffs. Like I don't think just doing one round like they've done the last several years here is the way to do it. I think you work in more and then you get to the bowl games. But if you're going to expand to 24 anyways, then do some of the home games and then work in some of these other bowl games as neutral site locations. There's always a way to figure it out. Well, what about the money and these people? How do we make everyone happy? You can typically make most people happy. Not everyone, most. It'll be interesting to see how creative they get with it. But I do think this, regardless of 12, 14, 16, 24, 96, whatever they end up doing down the road, work in more on-campus games because there's nothing like a college football experience and home crowd. That is freaking epic, and I think that's the way to do it. And certainly the way they're doing it now, you're incentivized to get a bye potentially. Your players are cold; they have that much more time off, and you don't get a home game. I think that there should be at least home games into the second round.
Hey, I've got a question for the chat and also for you guys. I want to know if people in the chat and you guys, as far as a bowl goes and sponsorship, based on a food that you really like you could have the Funyuns Bowl, you could have the Frito Bowl. What would it be for you? What would you like to see?
Nate, you want to go?
Well, for myself, I would just say this. I would like the Swiss cake roll bowl. So if Hostess is listening, please think about, Little Debbie, getting Little Debbie out there and having the Swiss cake roll bowl, please.
So you're going to go specific product as opposed to broader umbrella.
Specific product, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say Hostess cupcakes, but those have kind of come downhill ever since they remember when Hostess left for 8 months and then came back? They haven't quite been the same. I would love to see a Cheetos one.
Okay.
I'd go maybe Cheetos or Dairy Queen.
How about a Taco Bell bowl?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Let's just do all of Yum brands. You got Taco Bell, Pizza Hut in there, KFC, Long John Silver's, Mountain Dew, all over everything.
Half of the players not ineligible, but unable to play, dealing with severe digestion issues and GI tract issues.
Welcome to the Long John Silver's Bowl here in Fresno, California.
Hey, don't joke though. That would work. That's like an iconic brand where you've got a freaking old fisherman's face in the middle of the field. The colors work. I think what I would go, and I don't advise people eat this anymore, but certainly I did. I ate the shit out of it growing up, and it's kind of I guess it would be a similar feel to the Pop-Tart Bowl, who again I think does a remarkably good job for a mid-tier bowl game with their branding. I think I'm going Wonder Bread. You've got their logos, their colors are fun. The way you could dress up the field. You can give people partner with a barbecue company for some pregame meals. Give everyone a big platter of meat, and then just give them a thick ass loaf of white Wonder Bread in that amazing bag. Dip it in the sauces. Get it stuck in the roof of your mouth. You what?
Sorry, I said unsliced. Just a block of bread.
Yeah,
wrap the goalpost in it too. No pads.
Exactly.
Right there that they can peel off and eat while they're waiting for the kick.
I think it's pretty iconic branding. I think that without thinking of it for long, you just spurred this question on us. That's how that's where I'm going. I haven't seen any responses yet in the chat, but we're in the future, so we're 90 seconds ahead of them.
One more for you, Drew. Okay. If you were doing a bowl game based on a cut of steak, what would the name of your bowl game be?
Well, that's tough because, what I tend to eat the most is fillets. We're not calling it the filet mignon bowl or the filet or the tenderloin bowl. I think you got to go tomahawk because it's got a cool vibe to it. It's got a cool look. You got to go that direction. You could maybe go ribeye.
The ribeye bowl is kind of cool.
It's got a good name. I think those are the only two names that work. You can't go the skirt steak.
Prime rib bowl.
The prime rib bowl works. Yeah, those maybe those three: prime rib, tomahawk, ribeye. But you can't be like the New York strip bowl. I mean, you can. That leads to some other questions, like what other characters
the ground chuck bowl.
The ground chuck, yeah. I mean, we're at the point though where literally I wouldn't be shocked if the playoff kept getting pushed off in terms of expansion, where it's the 80-20 lean ground chuck bowl. They get so specific with their branding. It's do we seriously have a bowl game for 85-15 ground chuck?
Right. The A&W root beer float bowl.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, I speaking of root beer, the kids are all into Olipop and Poppy and all that, and those companies are doing awesome. And they're obviously much better for you than traditional sodas. Do whatever you're going to do. Drink traditional. I don't give a shit what you put in your body. But they are traditionally better. I had just a sip yesterday of the Olipop root beer. We have no sponsorship partnership with them whatsoever, although we should. Call me. But it was delicious. Delicious.
Wow.
Olipop root beer. Give it a try.
I had one of those that tasted terrible, but I had one that was good, and I don't remember which flavors they were.
The one that I've had that I know is good is cream soda. The cream soda one's really good.
Oh, I had my favorite is the banana cream soda.
Oh, I'm passing on that.
I've seen that can. I like banana cream. It's just like I don't know if I want to drink banana cream. So it might be great.
It's fantastic. It's refreshing. It's everything you've ever wanted in a soda.
Could you combine that with like actual bananas and do some kind of take on the root beer float and a banana?
That would be really good with ice cream.
Some...
Pour the banana cream over ice cream. Oh, now we're talking with a little bit of peanut butter in there and some bacon to stir it around with. Oh,
that would be a nice garnish. You know, a crispy slice of bacon.
No.
My son, we're having breakfast a couple weekends ago. Of course, we work in bacon because it's America. Like, what else would you do? It's not a communist country. And he's switched. I'm a crispy bacon guy. I'll eat bacon however I get it. But he's switched and he likes it less done. And he'll eat medium rare steaks and he eats everything right. He's a great kid. So I thought. And he's switching to like the softer bacon. I was like, really? Like, are we doing this?
Very European.
I like it. I like it crispy, crunchy. That's just my style. He doesn't need. In fact, I would encourage him not to be anything like me. If I had my preferences, what, are you guys crispy or not crispy?
Well, it depends. There's if you're going crispy where it like dissolves in your mouth and you feel like you're eating bacon bits, that's too much for me.
That's too much. I agree. Yeah.
If there's a little bit of crisp on there, but you still have to pull it a little bit, that's the sweet spot for me.
No, I agree. And the gristle still stays gristle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Nate, what are you? You're anti-crispy?
About the same. Yeah, anti-crispy. I mean, you want it a little bit. I feel like it's like Tom said, you kind of want it a little crispy, but all the fat you want still fatty and soft. I actually just had a breakfast sandwich earlier today, and the bacon was very well done, like tasted well done. And it wasn't even just crispy. Like you bent it, and snapped. I was like, come on, man, no one wants their bacon like this.
Okay, nobody wants it like this. Transitioning, but staying on topic with meats, real quick. If you have a Bloody Mary or any kind of cocktail like a Bloody Mary, do you want meat in your cup or no? Like, we go to this awesome restaurant in the North Loop, Minneapolis. They put a big-ass piece of jerky in there, like quality jerky, along with some cheese, pickles, other accoutrement, olives, all the stuff that's in there. Do you like putting meat in your cup?
It depends. I've gone back and forth on the whole trend with the Bloody Marys. I really used to enjoy the fact that they started throwing everything in there, and I'll never forget the first time that I got a Bloody Mary that had a cheeseburger in it. It was in Fairbanks, Alaska, and that was like the first time that I had seen someone going over the top with the Bloody Mary. But I feel like we're to the point now where that whole kind of fad is sort of dying out, and it's just getting more and more ridiculous with, like, a crab claw in there or, with bacon. It's just they're trying to push too much in there to be different than everybody else. But what they're doing is just being everybody else.
Putting meat in your cup and then saying push too much in there. We've gotten a little sexual here. I've not had a crab claw in there. It actually sounds good. Like, I would take. I'm actually okay with it. Like, here's what I'll say. Needless plug. Red Cow, who owns a bunch of restaurants there, that restaurant group does in Minneapolis. Red Cow, their Bloody Mary is, I think, the best I've ever had. It's freaking outstanding, and I can't wait to have it in 6.5 months.
Something to look forward to.
But who's counting down?
No one's counting down. Yeah, we had the brothers meeting. We've got our date. I'm not going to reveal the dates but we've got our dates planned. We've got our reservations. We're good to go. Here comes a $1,000 sushi dinner. Also, Billy Sushi. At some point, you boys, we're going. Maybe we get there before the boys' trip. We'll do a balls and banter trip at US Bank Stadium. Best hotel. The hotel's amazing. Best food. Like this. Like we got to do that because you've got to try this freaking sushi place. Holy crap!
Yeah. And then we could rate it. We could call it like bread and circus. If we go to like a restaurant that you're recommending, we say the bread is the food and the circus is the atmosphere. Same with the game that we go to.
Yes, we could do that. Speaking of the NFL, sort of, I'm talking NFL trip with the brothers. For that, 11 teams start OTAs today. The Indianapolis Colts, the Jacksonville Jaguars right here in town, the Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers, Philadelphia Eagles, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings start today. Into that quarterback battle begins today. The Panthers, the Bucks, the Rams, the Seahawks, all getting going today. I think, again, I know this sounds biased. I think one of the biggest storylines of the OTAs for the 11 teams that are starting today is absolutely the Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy quarterback battle. That thing's going to be interesting through OTAs into the summer, into training camp, preseason, all of that. That is one of the most fascinating storylines that's out there. The rest of the team's pretty buttoned up. How does, not now for OTAs, but eventually how does Mahomes come back from his injury? What are the Chargers going to do? Philly's added a bunch of tools. The Panthers ended up having a pretty darn good year last year after a disastrous year 2 years ago. What do they look like? What do the Bucks look like without Mike Evans? There's some interesting storylines there, but that quarterback battle in Minnesota gets ramped up right now. It gets happening right now as we speak at OTAs in the Twin Cities, and that one's going to be interesting.
The only thing right now that I care about OTAs is if Carly Ursay shows up. I want her at the OTAs, and I need me some Carly Ursay. I need Carly Ursay fix. I need those clips to come in. I need the outrageous outfits. I need the fanny pack. I need the high top basketball shoes. I need the headset. I'm jonesing for it, and I need it bad.
Bro, she's out there with a clipboard and a headset right now. She's maybe more involved than anybody at OTAs out of all these 11 teams right now. She's crazy.
I love her. I know those eyes, and I know, and I could just tell, and I'm an expert in this. I could just look into her eyes, and I know that there's a lot of pharmaceutical aids going into the makeup of that woman, and the fact that she relies on those makes her more attractive to me with each passing day.
I was going to ask if it was sexual, but I think you answered that.
Yeah, I think you got your answer, Nate.
No, it's not.
I think he has a poster of her. He's got his yarn maps on the wall for his conspiracies, and then Carly Ursay up above.
Do you think with that clipboard and headset, like, is she like helping coach or like listening to what they say to be in on it, or is she like judging them? Like putting them under this group of like, oh, it was 2nd and 12, and he wasn't really on the same page as his offensive coordinator.
I don't know, man. With her, I think it's that. Like, I think it started the way she described it when she first got popped onto the scene, got super involved. I just want to understand what I want to understand the game. I want to understand what the coaches and players are doing and how they do it. But when you're kind of psychotic like she is, that leads to, I am the captain now. I'm freaking Nick Saban. I'm Bill Belichick. Like, I got this. Take a seat.
Yes.
Daniel Jones, come here. Like, she's like the owner. Totally different. Actually, it's not like that. But like the personality wise, the owner in Major League, who was quite attractive, but super involved, trying to tank everything. I'm not saying that Carly's trying to tank everything there, but I think it may be the most uncomfortable situation in the league. That and Jerry Jones. You have Jerry Jones and you have Miss Ursay breathing down your neck. As a coach, you're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
This one's telling me how to do my job and just shoves me into bed and is trying to do weird things to me. I could see that happening.
Sounds not a bad deal.
I mean, to each his own, right? That could be like, thank God I'm an Indy. Like, I don't know.
Who do you think would be easier to deal with, Jerry Jones or Carly Ursay?
I have no idea. I don't know. Women don't take offense to this, but you add the crazy chick element, and that maybe supersedes Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, I think, would be almost impossible to work for. I would like to sit and listen to him tell stories with his accent, and maybe get him, I was going to say lubed up. I didn't mean that. Maybe get him sauced up a little bit with some drinks to see what comes out of him. I think that you get her sauced up on some drinks. She's like, oh, you were too much to handle to begin with. Like, I'm doing an Irish goodbye and I'm out of here. I'm leaving.
I think I'd rather work for Jerry. I feel like you could sit him down and just convince him that like whatever you want is good for the team. We're going to be the best move, and somehow be like financially cool for him too.
Yeah.
Where Carly Ursay just seems like she's just like, I'm the boss no matter what. And it's like, no, we need the team playing. And she's like, no, get rid of the wheels. I said so. And you're like, I don't know how we're going to land. She's like, I said so.
Do it.
Right.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like the gifts for like owners, I don't know that this is a traditional thing. I'm just making this up. But like you're giving your owner gifts and applauses. You're sending him and his wife flowers and whatever, gift cards, watches. The players and coaches are sending Ursay like lithium. Like, here's a bottle of lithium. Please take it. And don't stop taking it. Like just whatever you do, take the pills.
What I really want her to do is when they start cutting the roster is I want her to note when the player's notified that he's cut, instead of bringing him into the office, I want the team to put a pot outside their door with a rabbit in it that's been boiled to death.
Okay. Well, I mean,
that to me just adds to the aura of her. Everything about her is magical, even her insanity.
It is absolute magical, maybe entertaining. Yes, yeah. that is for sure. Real quick, UFL Week 9 gave us Orlando flexing, Columbus refusing to be dead, Louisville kicking down the door, and St. Louis punching its playoff ticket. You had Orlando beat the DC Defenders, who just keep losing right now. It's I say it's strange. I don't care enough about the UFL, but it is strange that they've gone this direction. But they lose
home championship game. They just want to give it away.
They want to give it away. Like, you could be playing on your home soil. They lost 27-19. Orlando just been rolling. They moved to 7-2, winning their third straight. Jack Plummer, 21-20 of 27, 275 yards, 3 tutties in that game. No picks. Looked good. Chris Rowland was the weapon of the night. 8 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown. DC had the ground game juice rolling, especially from Spencer Sanders. But this is an interesting thing, seeing DC go the opposite direction fast. Orlando really kind of like leaning into like, we are the captain now. We are the top dogs in this whole thing. Columbus beat Birmingham 36-29, came from behind, pulled off the win. Jalen Morton made his first start, had 213 yards passing through the air, three touchdowns, 96 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown himself. So a pretty complete game from him. Birmingham led most of the way, but Dorian Thompson-Robinson threw 2 picks. Columbus finished the game with the final haymaker. DJ Miller sealed it with a late pick 6. Sunday in the early game, you had Louisville beating Dallas 37-23. Put together an incredible second half. Chandler Rogers went 16 of 21 for 266 yards, 2 tutties, while Ian Wheeler ran for 93 yards and a touchdown. Louisville piled up 470 total yards of offense, controlled the ball for over 30 minutes. You have that much time on time of possession, and that tends to go your way, especially if you're not turning it over. Dallas briefly grabbed a fourth quarter lead, but then Louisville turned the lights on, locked the doors, made the Renegades watch film in real time. Austin Reed finished with just 101 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Then Sunday night, St. Louis, who punched their ticket, they won 21-15 over the Houston Gamblers. And you had Luis Perez, who threw 239 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, while Jarvion Howard added 55 rushing yards. You had Houston's Marcus Yarns, best runner of the game, 98 yards, didn't top 100, but got damn close. And the Gamblers could just not finish the job. Grinder of a game, St. Louis comes out on top. So after Week 9, you've got Orlando sitting at the top of everything, 7-2. They'd clinched their playoff spots a couple weeks back. You had St. Louis, who now has clinched it, 6-3. Louisville, DC, both 5-4. Again, DC on a big skid right now. Birmingham still hanging around at 4-5. While Dallas, Houston, and Columbus all eliminated from playoff contention, all 3-6. That's what's going on in the UFL. Orlando, man, doing their thing. Good for them.
I like to see both Texas teams eliminated too. They're right up there with the New York sports teams. I'm like, keep them down there in the toilet, baby.
Just because of the attitude and the aura that comes with the state.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the Gamblers need to change their name. Like, Gamblers is kind of a cool team name, but it doesn't really roll off your tongue. And then the fact they're in Houston, where like you can't even gamble on sports online. It's like, why are you guys called the Gamblers? You're like the Branson, Missouri of gambling or something.
That's a great reference right there. They also need to find a damn fan to put in their stands. I know I say this. Some of you are listening, watching, whatever, and you're good people, and you're the outlier in Houston. I just don't like that town. I don't like that town. I don't want nice things for people in Houston. It's hot. It's flat. It's a concrete jungle. There's tons of oil money, tons of douchebaggery going on there. Here's the thing, too. I know so many people from Houston who claim to be, and they claim, this is the big part of the conversation, claim to be great Christian supporters of this, supporters of that. You know what happens every time? They turn out to be total douchebag crooks. Total douche. So I just have a bad taste in my mouth for Houston. Again, I do know some good people. There's a family who just moved here not too long ago from Houston. So far, they seem great. I'm waiting for the floor to fall out. It's like, I don't know. I think maybe you're a terrorist. Like, it's a weird city. So I'm with you, Nate. Like, I like small market teams.
So what you're saying is Houston is the Manhattan of Texas.
Kind of. Planet Houston.
And all I know is not just Manhattan making up the boroughs. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it.
I tell you what. I know you don't like New York. I would go to New York over Houston 10 times out of 10. And I've got to go to Houston in 2 months. Not next. I was going to say next month. In 2 months.
I'm the exact opposite. Total Houston all the way.
See, I will go to Dallas Fort Worth area because there's good eating. I'll go to San Antonio. I spent a lot of time in San Antonio during my government days. I'll go to there's great music in Austin. Is Austin the same political vibe as me? No, but that's okay. Like, the music's great. There's a fun scene there. I don't like West Texas, where you can't find a gas station for like 800 miles. And I don't like Houston. Everything else about it, I'm okay with. I can live with.
I don't have anything against Houston per se or the people there. I hate the Astros, a bunch of cheaters. I was there at a game last season. I was like, I can't believe these people are cheering for like these freaking cheaters. Like, Altuve, they had like a graphic up in the tunnel where it was like comparing Altuve to Willie Mays. And I was like, how dare you like put his name in the same sentence as Willie Mays? The guy cheated for 3 seasons.
Right.
It's like, of course he's got similar stats to him, and they're all cheering. And it's like, the sad part is that team was pretty good. They might have been able to win it without cheating.
Yeah.
But we'll never know, and they'll forever have that scar.
Well, maybe Willie Mays was juicing.
I don't think he needed to.
Yeah, he didn't need to, and he didn't need to steal signs either. You know,
I tell you what, you bring up him and this the baseball scandal with the Astros. But you know what? One of my biggest problems with expansion, you know, the NFL very likely, if not next year, within the next 1 to 2 years, going to 18 games. We obviously just, in not too distant past, went to 17 games. College football playoff expanding. You know, first it didn't exist, then it did exist. Now it's expanding. Now it's going to expand again. Yada yada yada. I really hate that for the record books and history because it makes things so complicated. You look back to players at the NFL level, the college football level, to whatever, pick a sport, pick a time, pick an era, and it makes it so hard to compare. And obviously it also doesn't really matter. Like, you can make that argument too, and I get what your point would be on that front. But you look at, okay, well, this guy had X amount of yards rushing this year, X amount of touchdown passes this year. It's like, well, yeah, bitch, he played 3 more games. Like it just like that part gets. That's my actually biggest hurdle with all of the expansion and length thing. Does it make sense to play a bunch of preseason games? No, preseason games, they're terrible. Have 1 or 2, have some of the combined, practices that they do now anyways, and get some good looks at your players, and then just figure it out. Like, figure it out as you get into the season. I get reducing some of that, but when you keep expanding things and then changing things, like, well, this person had more yards than Eric Dickerson did that year. It's like, well, of course they did. Like, that part becomes really tricky. And obviously you can get nuanced in the conversation. You can do averages. You can do all the things. I just like things clean. I don't like change. I know that you guys know that. But, like, that part drives me insane. This quarterback, I mean, did you see how many touchdown passes he had, how many rushing yards he had, how many passing yards he had? Yes, he played 6 more games than the guy you're comparing him to. Like, stop it. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, you can't really compare it because with everything, with evolution of human beings, there's always a timeline shift, and that goes for sports as well. So at some point, you just have to end whatever era that was and move on to the next era, and it's hard to pluck people out. You can't, what are you going to compare Bob Cousy with, James Harden? You can't do it. They're just 2 different eras. And it's just so hard to say how would somebody – there's some people I think you could say you could drop in any era, and I think they would do fine. And that's not based on their physical abilities for me as much as their mental toughness. If you have somebody who's mentally tough, if Bob Cousy is as mentally tough as a Michael Jordan, then I would say you could drop him in any era. Now, Jerry West, for as crazy as he was, had a lot of mental toughness. Could he play at a level that we see nowadays? Maybe, because I think with somebody with that kind of mindset would be able to adapt to whatever that game is.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. This conversation is always going to go on. For the sake of time, we're going to move. Go ahead, Nate. Go ahead.
I'm going to say, what if Endgame, though, we add 4 to 6 weeks, we add 4 to 6 teams, and every team gets 2 or 3 bye weeks, depending on how you add it on. How would that sound?
Okay, say that again. So you add on.
I wouldn't know the numbers to make it work, but let's just say you add 5 weeks onto the NFL season, you expand by 4 teams to 6 teams, and whatever numbers it would need to make that work, so that then each team gets 2 or 3 bye weeks throughout the season too. So it's a little easier on the players. We get more football. There's more teams, so the NFL is making more money.
Where are the teams?
And,
are they CONUS? Are they based in the United States?
I would think you probably have one in Mexico City.
That's so rough.
Maybe one in Canada, but other than that,
but continental North America.
Yeah, we're not going to Europe. We're not going to South America.
I'm okay with it, man. I'm okay with expanding and playing more. I don't like the records, and I really don't like the conversations about the records.
Yeah, you just gotta start putting parentheses and bracketing everything. Like,
yeah,
you can't really
everything's
compare.
Yeah, everything's asterisk, but I think I think that works, and I think with 18 they're talking about going to two bye weeks. I'm all for more competition, more sports. Here's the flip side of this. Even with the 18-week conversation or 18-game conversation that's going on, that I think, again, in my view, is an almost certainty. It's just an inevitability at this point. I hate bye weeks so much. As a fan. I get it for the players. Yeah. The players need it. The coaches need it. You got to retool, refit. You got to get people healthy. And I will watch the NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs prove positive. Typically, the NFL playoffs proof positive too for me. I will watch whatever's on. I'm just happy to have something on and to be cheering for it. But I hate the weeks that the Vikes are off or Michigan's off. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do? and you don't ever ask your wife that question, this is just some free marital advice, because you will get an answer, and you will not like the answer. You just shut up and you watch Northwestern play Illinois. Like, that's what you do. Like, that's what you do. You pour yourself a drink, you order some DoorDash, whatever suits your fancy. But I agree, Nate. Like, I think you expand it out, like, and that's what it's going to take. That the NFL Players Association, there's going to have to be some concessions. But having what used to be 4 weeks, now 3, like, of preseason football, like, that's gay. Like, what are we doing here? The networks don't make their nut on it because no one's watching. You got to have stuff that counts and matters. That's what's important.
Well, it counts and matters. Then I would go scarcity. I would have a 12-week season, and I would have only division champions playing for it to get into the Super Bowl.
Do you change that, though? Because, again, right now, and we've seen this a lot in recent years, division champions sometimes are 8 and 9. Well, it used to be.
I like scarcity. I think scarcity adds value to your overall product. I think if you have too much of one thing, you're going to get burnt out on it. So I go the opposite direction.
Okay, no, that's a fair point. Like it's the opposite for for going to college football to, hey, we want an 11, 12 game season. We want the games to really matter, and then we want a truncated postseason. Right. You can go either way. Here's the thing. I just want more football. I want it to be good football. And not necessarily more. I say more. It could be less. It could be. I just want it to be good. And then because I've evolved and matured as a human being, and I've had the best spring I've ever had watching all these amazing things, which I've always cared about, but I just really leaned into it this year. I can deal with it now. I can deal with it if we have less, because the March Madness is always good to us. NHL playoffs always good to us, but the NBA playoffs have been good to us this year. Racing's been good. Golf has been good. So many freaking things. There's just a lot going on. I as I keep saying, I've looked at spring the wrong way. I'm going to have a better attitude moving forward, and appreciate it. I mean, this weekend. So let's get to racing to wrap up the show here. You got NHL playoffs. You got golf going on. You got NBA playoffs. You've got some conference stuff going on with college baseball. Some good games on. If you want to watch softball, okay.
That's what I was going to say, baby.
I mean, there's tournament-based softball going on. There's lots of stuff going on. I'm gonna stop myself. There's lots of stuff going on. And this weekend was an epic racing weekend. So you had the Canadian Grand Prix, which no one watched because of everything else that was going on. I'm sure some of you did, and God bless you. Like, still good. There was just like we don't have enough TVs, and we have a lot of TVs. Like, trying to figure out how to sort all this out. But you had the Indy 500. Tom was in Indianapolis for it, watching it, and it was the closest race. This race was freaking awesome, man. Closest race in history. The most recent one that was this close that it beat out was 1992, that Tom was there for. And you had
Jr.
You had Rosenqvist pull off this crazy finish at the end to beat. How old's Malukas again? He's a young kid.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, he's in early 20s.
Like early 20s, young kid, devastated by, as he should be. It's the Indy 500. He was this close to winning. Rosenqvist shoots out in the last part of the last lap and gets the win. Here was what the finish looked like. You can see them crossing the bricks there. I mean, so tight. Such a great race. He had a bunch of cautions. He had a bunch of things happen. Yes, that's racing. But this, if you missed the Indy 500, you missed out this weekend because it was an awesome experience. It was a great race. Came right down to the end. Rosenqvist again gets the end. He gets the cold milk. He gets the wreath. He gets all the things that go along with winning the Indianapolis 500. But it was just a phenomenal race. And you knew that. Like, you knew going in, okay, we've got on Sunday, we've got the Indianapolis 500. And then when that's done, we're going to watch some pregame. And we've got the Coca-Cola 600 in the NASCAR Cup Series. So it was a great day, and you knew there was some stuff coming with that. But just speaking to the Indy 500, Man, what an awesome race. Tom, I'll start with you because I know that you were in Indy watching, and the last time it was this close, it was 92, and this is now the closest Indianapolis 500 race in the history of the race.
This was the best Indianapolis 500 that I've ever seen, and it had everything that you would ever want in a race. You had a couple of crashes here and there that weren't too serious. You had Scott Carpenter yelling at Sato about dipping down and causing him to spin out and crash. You had a lot of drama going on. You had weather that was possibly moving in. You had fuel consumptions that who was going to pit, who wasn't going to pit. You had all kinds of leader changes throughout the day. It was fantastic, and then that finish. The finish was unbelievable. And what I was truly amazed by is right before it started, I was sitting with my friends, and my friend Brian, his wife Gigi, said, I want to take, I can't remember who she took, an Italian guy. And I was like, put 25 on Rosenqvist for me. And so he does. So I ended up winning $350 betting on Felix. And so the whole day was it was phenomenal, from, the singing of Back Home Again in Indiana with Corneliuson, and with the Blackhawks with Gronk in it flying around on the warm-up laps. It was just it truly lived up to his name as the Indianapolis 500 being the greatest spectacle in all of motorsports. And they absolutely crushed it with everything on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree.
Gronk was in the Blackhawk?
Yes.
Epic.
Yeah, and then they had for the flyover, it was I think Apaches and Chinooks, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And which is crazy because the Chinook is like slow moving school bus of the year, but it's big and it's interesting looking. So my younger kids, my daughters are like, "That's so cool. What is that?" I'm like, "That's just it's like an RPG target."
Right. Well, they also had jets fly over too.
Yeah, they did. They did it right. It was awesome. The race was so damn good. Loved every minute of it. It just was the way those vehicles maneuver is just such a awesome thing to see. And you compare it, I love NASCAR. You compare it to NASCAR though, but the way the cars maneuver is so different, and it was awesome, that finish. And again, we talked about Quinn Hughes weeks ago after the devastating loss. We went up 3-0 and ended up losing to the Avalanche and getting outed in the second round of the NHL playoffs. Talked about the passion of Malukas being interviewed after he lost in the final moments there. That's what you want to see. That's a young race car driver to watch. He had a hell of a race. Was razor's edge close to winning the whole damn thing, and was devastated. He will come back hungry. Will he get another shot? Don't know. But man,
and you had Kirk Signetti driving the pace car.
Yes, I forgot about that. No, it was awesome. Then we went to last topic, but we're going to talk about this for a second, so bear with us. We went to the Coca-Cola 600, but before we go to the Coca-Cola 600, we're going to go back to Thursday. Because, man, Thursday was this weekend was too, but Thursday, a gut punch. Confusing, devastating, sad, all those things. We're doing the show. That morning, pre-show, we find out Kyle Busch is in the hospital, severe illness. We knew we had heard that he wasn't going to race. But we hear all these things, like everything's moving fast. He's not going to race, in the hospital, severe illness. Austin Hill's going to race in his stead. Kind of like, all right, that sucks, but good for Austin Hill. He's going to get a shot, drive the 33 car, and Kyle Busch will be back. Kyle Busch, Rowdy, whatever you call, like he's going to be back. He's him. And then we talk about it in the show. I leave, I go pick up my family, and then we're driving to my son's spring game, and the news hits. Tom texts me, and Kyle Busch is dead. Like, just like that. This thing escalated so fast, was so freaking, man, it was a gut punch. And NASCAR's putting this out. There you go. 41 years old. 1985 to 2026, and Rowdy is just gone. Like, he's just gone. So, again, I know it's been several days, but we didn't get to talk about it at the end of the week because we're Tuesdays and Thursdays right now. It's going to change. But, so we're going to talk about it now. I've really leaned into NASCAR this year. Obviously, if you follow NASCAR at all, even just kind of like a little bit, you know a lot about Kyle Busch. He's one of the best drivers in history. His accolades are through the roof. I still can't get over what a gut punch it was to have it happen that fast. And part of it, too, is your own vulnerability, right? Of everyone feels a little bit invincible. I feel way less invincible as I've gotten older. But you kind of feel that, and you see how quickly this one moved, and it ended up being, severe complications, pneumonia that led to sepsis, and just, everything started to fail his body, and that was what did him in. But I still can't get over Thursday, and it had more of an impact on me than I thought it would. What did you see experience on your end?
To me, it was one of those situations where, it seemed, for me, I feel like Kyle Busch has been a race car driver for 41 years. I don't really remember NASCAR at this point without him. That's what a fixture he's become. And whether you cheered for him or against him, he was always a part of what was going on. Just like you have your favorites in professional wrestling. There were people that couldn't stand Kyle Busch, but he was their bad guy, and they wanted to root against him. And they had their good guy, whether it was Jeff Gordon or whoever. That's one of the beauties about sports. But you still enjoyed seeing him out on the track because you knew that he was going to be stiff competition against whoever your driver was if you weren't a fan of his. There's something about this that I don't like that just doesn't smell right to me. And the fact that we're told that he had pneumonia and then sepsis crept in and then he died. I have a hard time believing that story. I have a hard time believing a lot of stories, but this one especially because of the schedule that he was keeping up until he passed out and started coughing up blood inside the race simulator. He was doing meet and greets. He was going through his regular routine. And for anyone who has pneumonia before, it's going to knock you out. I know you can have walking pneumonia and so forth, but there's several levels to it before you get to the point where it becomes fatal. And I just don't think somebody like him, who he is the business. There are people surrounding him that depend on his health for their livelihood. So it's just not like your average person who is out there who's not feeling well but just goes into work and then all of a sudden collapses and dies. There are people monitoring his health. And I do not believe that it was pneumonia. I think my personal opinion on it and seeing doctors speculating about it and being related to myocarditis, that's the camp that I live in. And it's something that NASCAR will never cop to just because of pushing the COVID vaccine when it came out. And unfortunately, I think he's going to be another statistic that is going to go unreported of what that jab did to people.
Okay. Well, there's another theory that's out there we'll get to in a second. I'll get Nate's thoughts real quick, and then I've got a couple other comments before we get to that.
Yeah, it was just shocking because, anytime you hear of somebody dying suddenly, it's a little hard to believe because, we heard that he was sick after that race, and then, all of a sudden he's hospitalized, and you're like, whoa. And then, a few hours later, like you said, we did the show, and then I think I went and got lunch and came back, and it was coming on TV, breaking news, Kyle Busch died. And I was like, well, I thought, he just went to the hospital. You kind of expect there to be a downturn, and it was just so sudden that it was whenever something like that happens, it just kind of really catches you off guard. It's not like he was laying there in a coma for 3 weeks, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess he didn't pull through. It was
right.
Oh, he's going to the hospital. I didn't really know he was sick. And then all of a sudden he's dead. And you're like,
right.
Whoa. And I was going to say, being that sick and still going about things, I think maybe kind of shows how much of an athlete he was. You don't really think of NASCAR drivers as athletes, but, there is a lot of physicality that goes into it. And didn't require athletic prowess, you'd probably still be able to do it till you're, like 50 or 60. But these guys kind of age out just like in every other sport. So I think that's just kind of a testament too of, how strong he was. He kind of became my favorite driver just because I remember he was winning a lot. He was in the M&M car, and I loved M&Ms. And then
dude, that's exactly it. You're like my daughter. She picked him because she loves M&Ms.
Yeah.
It was a great car.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, he's saying, I was watching the Cubs game. I'm a Cubs fan, full disclosure. And he was saying the 7th inning stretch and was in the booth. And I was like, all right. I like this guy. He's always winning. And then he got like arrested for doing like 90 in a school zone or 30 or something. And I was like, whoa, what a renegade. And then he got in like several fights behind the scenes in pit row and stuff not long after that. I was like, hell yeah, this dude gets down. This is my favorite driver. So I was sad to see him go. I mean, even this year, he's caused like 2 reps because somebody pissed him off. So at the end of the race, he just kind of clipped him and was like, well, you got in my way. And I'm like, dude's a boss, And so, yeah, he was my favorite driver. So it's sad. And it's just shocking. Yeah, like I said, and when you don't even really know that somebody's that sick, they're in the hospital and then 3 hours later, they're dead. Like,
yeah.
How did it go that quick?
Yeah.
In the hospital.
It was to me. It also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it was I just want to throw this out there. It was reminiscent to how I felt after Kobe Bryant hearing the news. You're just in disbelief. You're like, this can't be happening. This doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, let's skip ahead. So, Jonathan, skip to that last one here, and then we'll come back because you bring that up. So here's what a lot of people are talking about. I'm not saying this is my take. I'm just going to read what's on the screen there. But you've got a post, and this is one of lots of posts like this. Kobe Bryant was won a significant settlement against a pharmaceutical company who obviously has lots of money, controls lots of things in America. He tragically died in a helicopter crash weeks later. Tom just referenced that instant. That was a huge gut punch. It was like, what? Like, how is Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest ever, gone? Kyle Busch won a $8.5 million settlement against a major insurance company. I think it was related to a life insurance policy, if I'm not mistaken. He tragically died from a sudden and unexpected illness weeks later. I'm not saying this is what has happened. I'm not saying there's any nefarious or malicious activity behind the scenes. But when you see these things and you see the power and the intent and whatever other words you want to throw in there that are related to these big insurance companies, it's certainly hard to just completely dismiss conversations about oddities surrounding what was going on with them and then what happened to them. Again, I'm not personally saying that. I don't know what I think. I'm still just in shock that Rowdy's gone. Like, that's more where my head and heart are today. But it's an interesting conversation nonetheless. You push back against these people who have buku bucks, lots of resources, lots of people who can do their bidding for them. I don't know how that plays out, how you can make someone so sick that they die that quick. Well, I say that, but I worked for the agency, so I do. But, like, it's an interesting conversation that's happening. I'm not going to weigh in on where I stand on it because I just don't know, and I really just am sad for his family and for the sport of NASCAR and for everyone who loved Kyle, loves the sport. That's really where I'm at, like, legitimately and genuinely. Is it just was a rough freaking last 72 hours, 96 hours, but it's an interesting conversation nonetheless.
It is, and I'm all about conspiracies, and I'm not going to rule this out either, even though I mentioned what I thought it was. I just, again, I don't think it was what we're being told. And if there's anything more nefarious to it, there probably is, but that's going to, what we were told is what's going to be the story. And, it's just, Sundays just aren't going to be the same without Kyle Busch out on the track. He's going to be missed. He's, like I said, he's one of those guys that, people had strong feelings about him. One of my favorite Kyle Busch moments is he walked out of his car, walked right over to Joey Logano and punched him in the face. nuts. I mean, you don't get more.
Tracked him down like it was
like
with
that.
intent.
Yeah.
With serious intent.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss that guy. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of his, I liked him because my daughter liked him. And I respected the fact that, he was a hell of a race car driver, and he made Sundays so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he absolutely did. Well, that's what I mean. That's why he was like a character out of freaking Talladega Nights. Like, didn't like coming in second. He'd rather finish 9th or 10th than second. Would punch somebody out afterwards. Like, dude, you are the most you're so much larger than life. It was a really. He was an interesting character, easy to follow. By the way, I tried to get a hat to honor him today for the show. Good luck trying to find a Kyle Busch hat. They're all sold out everywhere. Like, it's crazy. You kind of expect that, I guess, but it's wild to see. If you could see some stats related to merch and apparel for Kyle Busch right now, it would be through the roof. But I
got my number 8 beer koozie last year at the Vegas Speedway.
Yeah, so you're set.
Yeah.
I saw like one shirt that was okay that I could get in time. Everything else was like sold out. It's like, this is crazy. But they've announced that they're going to retire the number 8 until his son Brexton is eligible to drive in NASCAR, which is a pretty cool story. You can see just kind of the announcement there. This one from TMZ, but NASCAR and a bunch of other people put that out. Again, Braxton Lennox, his wife, all there, Samantha, all there at the race in Charlotte this weekend. Tom and I, we texted about this, and this will be kind of our last thing. I'll just say this, man, if you watched it, it was both brutal and beautiful. It was all of those things, Samantha, Braxton Lennox, all of them being there, the lead-up promos, the packages, interviewing other racers, some of which you might like, some that you don't, but you should have thrown that out the window for those things. Like, even, there's a lot of people who have issues with Bubba. Bubba's crying on the set talking about him. It's like, if you're not a little bit endeared to Bubba and like appreciating Bubba right now, like, check yourself. Because it just was they just did a really freaking good job. They had bagpipes. They had all the stuff. Then they have a lot of stuff that was related to Memorial Day too that just kind of happened to coincide. You're playing taps related to that, but the family's there. The missing driver formation. They did the 8th lap of the race once it got going in silence. No commentators, no nothing. And I'm sitting there watching them like, no one wreck, because what are they going to do if someone wrecks and we go to caution here because we can't talk? But they did all of that. The whole thing just epic. Like, it was hard. Like, it was hard to watch. And it was also amazing to watch. And those are because you can take an event like this where you lose one of the most prolific drivers of all time, certainly right now, and you can overcompensate and lose the race, which is a big deal every year in the Coca-Cola 600, or you can undercompensate and be a cold-hearted douche. And they like threaded that needle, and I'm telling you, NASCAR gets an A++ from me for how they did it, because it was like, I'm both teary-eyed and my jaw hurts because I'm holding back like ugly tears, and I'm also pumped for the race all at the same time. I thought they did a really good job. I'm really impressed by how they handled that. And in short order, again, he passed away Thursday afternoon. Tom, any comments? I know we texted about it.
Yeah, yes, the production value of what they did was great, and I think that the NASCAR fans and NASCAR drivers, it's such a tight-knit community, and what NASCAR did to honor Kyle Busch, I think, was fantastic. And you could just tell that everybody was affected by it. Everybody, from the commentators, even to the people who put those packages together about Kyle Busch, they were done in such a great way that that the editors who worked on him and the producers that worked on him, they put their heart into it, and it just came across on screen. And I'm a firm believer that when you do work in the field that we work in, there's a way to harness that energy that you're feeling from other people, and it flows through you, and whatever craft it is, whether you're a cameraman, a sound person, or an editor, and you can get that emotion to translate on the screen. And I think they did a really nice job doing that.
Yeah, it was good. Nate, did you get to catch any of it?
I did not. I had it on before it started, and I was like, oh, there's still some time. And then I believe I got sucked into the NBA game, and I was like, oh, crap, the race.
Yeah.
And I kind of threw it on, but it was already pretty much over.
Well, it was good. A couple just last things. I thought it was really cool. Corey LaJoy, former NASCAR driver, is on the set. By the way, I forget the gal's name who hosts the Amazon Prime NASCAR stuff. She was a rock star because it was all super emotional, and she held every segment together and didn't lose it. I don't know if she did on commercial breaks, but she didn't on the live shots, which was good. Corey LaJoy stopped and prayed live on national television for Samantha Braxton and Lennox, which I thought was really cool. Not the in vogue cool thing to do in this modern world, not what the networks certainly with where they lean with things, but he did it anyways. I thought that was really cool. The whole thing just really, really well done. And then there was a race, the Coca-Cola 600. Daniel Suarez, who Kyle Busch mentored, he was one of the guys who got interviewed before the race, helped him, Mexican who came to America, now Mexican-American, hardly spoke English. Kyle Busch mentored him, helped him weekly on calls and mentor sessions. He ended up winning the race. It was cold early, weather. This race is 84 hours long. It's freaking so long. They ended up calling it early because of rain. You could see the weather coming in. Called it with, I forget what it was. It was 20 plus laps to go. But Daniel Suarez gets the win. So good for him. It was good. It was a good weekend. Okay. On from the somber into, we got Spurs OKC tonight. We got Vegas Knights Avalanche. There's lots of things to watch on TV. You can DM Nate to get all the weird women's sports happening in Latvia. We'll get to all of that stuff too. There's plenty of reasons.
Let me just say, I went to turn on a UFL game while I had a little break from work on Saturday, and it was the women's college softball. I believe it was the SEC tournament. Florida, I can't remember who they're facing. They're playing UCF, who isn't SEC, but it was surprising to go to see UFL, and then the bottom it was the UFL games on ESPN News or the ESPN app. But I'm like, oh, they're getting booted for women's college softball. And whenever you see something change in life, you're always is one on the downswing, or is one really on the upswing, or is there other factors going on?
I think in that case, it's one on the downswing. I don't think women's softball is getting to the point where they're peaking. I just don't see that happening. No offense to you lesbians out there who play it. I'm not seeing that going that right direction. Okay. There are people who are not lesbians who play softball too, to be clear. I think it's 3 or 4, but it's out there. It's a thing. Okay, hit that like button on the way out, folks. You're probably not going to after that comment. That's fine. We still like you. Please do, though. We'll look forward to being back here with you Thursday. Lots of different announcements and things coming in terms of the show in the days and weeks to come ahead. Grateful for all of you. Hope you have an awesome rest of your day. We'll see you Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, anywhere that you watch the show or do your podcast. Be safe, be smart, be free.
We got balls and banter.